Today we're going to be talking about lead generation and structuring calls. So David's going to talk about lead generation first, and then I'll talk about structuring calls to agents and structuring calls to sellers.
Oh, sorry. All right. Yeah. So this is how I start off after I obtain my list. So basically, what I do is I just go out, obtain a certain amount of lists, depending on what you're gonna do. So direct to seller, direct to agent, whatever it is that you decide to do. So some of the most
Depending on what you're gonna do. So
some of
direct
the
to
most
seller, direct to
popular
agent, whatever it is that you decide to do.
some of the
So
most
some of
popular
the most
lists
You have
are
that
like
YouTube one?
foreclosures or pre-foreclosures or probate or low equity, you know, like what I do is I do low equity plus 100 days, meaning that the real estate agent has it for 100 days plus. They probably can't get off the market. It's probably because it's low equity. They're having a tough time. So that's one list that I pull. Another list that I pull is the same list, but if it failed off the MLS. So that means that I go direct to seller.
Like
So the
expired
first list
listings?
is, yeah, the first listing is basically direct to agent. The second, and from here on in, is direct to seller. So failed MLS means they can't get the property sold for a specific amount of time. And then after that, I do pre foreclosures. So that's another direct to seller list. And then I do foreclosures, which means there's a auction date on it. So um,
Ooh.
yeah, so basically that's the line. That's the line that I go down by. So yeah, I do touch a little bit of direct to agent, and then but most of it is going to be direct to seller. So
So what's
here
your favorite platform that you use to get these lists?
I use REI Simply. It's easy to kind of upload the list too,
Is that
and
your CRM or your lead generation site?
that's my CR. That's both. So I
Oh,
do, yeah, I can do multiple marketing campaigns. So if I want to do direct mail, if I want to do cold calling, if I want to do website funneling and stuff like that, I can do all of that. So,
okay.
but the first thing is to get a list. Well, actually, to be honest with you, the first thing is to find your market, which is a different topic for a different day. Um, then you find your market, and then after that, you have to attack your market. So, what lists, within that market are you going to target? So, right now, I'm primarily direct to seller, and then now I added the direct to agent. So, the direct to agent is plus 100 days with low equity, less than 20%. Some people do less than 30%, but I do less than 20% of equity. So, and forgive the camera. Camera's going to do that. I don't know how to get that setting off yet. Um,
New
so
equipment.
yeah,
Always fun.
right. I just gotta play with it. So the first thing I do is that I do the list stacking. So list stacking is basically you obtain, a number of lists, and then within those lists, a certain address may come up multiple times. So if a address like 123 Main was on the low, above 100 low equity list, is now in the failed MLS list, is now in the pre foreclosure list, that means that it's on three different lists. So it has three different pain points. So that's a good target. So you wanna market to that seller, and then because it got three different pain points, so they're going to be eager to sell. So basically what that ad or that property owner recognized that they needed to sell that property for whatever reason, so they got a real estate agent. The real estate agent had a tough time, failed, and now they're in pre-foreclosure because they probably can't pay for the property. So and then after that obviously would be foreclosure when you get an auction date. So as that property moves along, it goes from a failed or above 100 days list, failed, pre foreclosure. Now it's probably going to go into foreclosure, and that's where you might get lucky.
Okay, so question, when it's in foreclosure and then it gets an auction date, are you still able to get the property?
Yeah, you could get the property.
Well, I'm actually working on something like this at the moment. And I was told that you have to be really careful because one of the problems that, of course, this doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. Someone's bought it from the auction listing and someone buys it from a pre-foreclosure listing and they have two buyers. And then the bank just, takes the money because the auction and the regular listing, resources don't really talk to each other. And you could have two people buying the same property at the same time and it can cause issues. Have you ever
No,
had
there's a memorandum that you
that?
could file once you get a contract signed, and that prevents anybody from purchasing any property. So if I, for
Okay, so
example, I
you
gave
do it like
somebody under
right away.
contract, I filed the memorandum, title company has that, somebody else try to come in, and not gonna be able
What
to
if
do
you
it.
both do it at the same time, though?
No. When the first person that submits it to to title is, that's it. So
Okay,
unless it's whoever's quicker.
gotcha.
So there's no really at the same time kind of per se. This is once it gets filed, it's done. Whoever filed it first is done.
And you
Is
have up until the auction date to still purchase the property,
Yeah,
correct?
there's a whole bunch of things that go into that as well. So talking to attorneys and whatever. But yeah, that's a whole different animal once you get there. Um, and that goes with the list. So you're gonna deal with that when you're in pre-foreclosure. When you're in foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, they still give you an opportunity to kind of, do things yourself.
Now,
Um,
do you have to pay cash once it's in auction process, or can you still do creative financing at
yeah,
that point?
you could do creative financing. You just got to speak to the lender, and then speak to the lender, let them know that yeah, we found a way to make them pay, blah blah blah, whatever. So it's a lot of wheeling and dealing after that. But yeah, when we get to first, when we get to list stacking, and you try to generate the lead before you even get to all of those, you know, the craziness. For foreclosures are a very lengthy process. So that's a different podcast by itself. But yeah, you gotta when you're trying to grab a property and you're trying to generate a lead, you're basically dealing with prospecting. So this is basically the prospecting part before you turn it into a lead, right? So that's where you do the marketing, you do the cold calling, you do the website, you do all of that. The handling the pre-foreclosure, that's way down the line. That's it's a process that we're nowhere near that. List stacking is probably the first one of the first things that you do to generate leads. So,
Gotcha.
develop, determine your market, which market you want to do, which is probably before this. But list stacking is what you do once you're in that market. So you create your lists, here's the agenda that we're going to go through for that. They're going to give an introduction, primary goals, a list, and what the business opportunities is, and then moving forward after that. So list stacking basically is what I just said. You're going to generate different lists, and I just told you the list that I do. Some people do more lists. So there's vacant properties, there's tired landlords, there's a whole bunch of lists out there. Um, and so you want to identify, address the multiple pain points. So every time an address is on one of those lists, it becomes a pain point. So for example, 123 Main, right? It was on the low equity 100 days MLS, but it wasn't on the low equity failed MLS. So it's still out there with a realtor. So I highlighted the realtor part in yellow. So because that's what's going to be a direct to agent. So that column right there means that at one point it was a direct to agent property. When you move over to the left, to the right, you got low equity failed MLS. So no longer with an agent. That's where you see the line kind of dividing it. And that 123 Main Street has not hit that list yet. So it's at 0. All right. So if you look all the way to the right, it's only going to have one pain point. So that address, 123 Main
Oh,
Street, is going to have one pain point. So the
okay.
other 3 lists, it hasn't gotten there yet. 456 Main Street has low hit or was on the low equity 100 days MLS, was on the failed MLS. So it has 2 pain points. That means that real estate agent wasn't able to get rid of it. Now it's failed MLS. So now you could go direct to seller. You could contact the seller and tell them, hey, I know you put this on the market, do you want to still sell it? And then that's how you'd attack those guys. So those are 2 pain points because they're on 2 lists. So 789 Main Street is on 3 because it's already hit the other 2. Now it's in pre-foreclosure. This guy doesn't have a way to pay for it. So in Florida, it's about, I think, 3 months. So if you don't hit 3 months, the lender has the right to file for pre-foreclosure. So that's just the beginning process, for pre-foreclosure. So then you end up, that property address ends up on that list. So then you have 3 pain points. So it was on 1, 2, 3 lists. You have and that's what you do with a CRM. You look for those pain points with the high numbers. Oh, hey, these are 3, lists. So 3 pain points, you want to attack this property as much as possible. So those are the ones you're going to market to. Those are the ones that you're going to waste money marketing to. And then you have the 4 pain points, which means that they hit all of those 3 lists, or
I
all
like
those
how it
4
gets
lists.
greener as it goes down.
Huh?
So I like how
Yeah. So I got it organized so like that. I look for this one first. Make sure it's in my CRM, and then if it hits low equity, or I know there's a pain point there. If I see that it's on pre-foreclosure, which I started noticing a lot, was that a lot of my low equity failed MLS started hitting pre-foreclosures, and then I start narrowing my list to those last 2. So as you can see, I have it color coded from light green to dark green on the pain points. And
yeah.
those are the darker the green, the more you want to market those 2.
Right.
So
And
you want
also
to
the
spend,
darker the green, the less time they have. So it's
yeah,
another
and then
reason
you
to
have the
call
less
them
time.
first.
So yeah, it becomes, it becomes a race. Now you got to understand, a lot of people are doing this already, but if you grab one of those, you're probably gonna, if you have a good chance, you put yourself in position to have something signed and ready to rock and roll, depending on how your um your skills are with negotiation. So
So did you like I guys just for information purposes, David's actually an IT tech. So a lot of times I have to ask him, is this something that you put together or is this like a platform? Because
I
he
put this
do
together.
stuff like this.
Yeah, I put this together. No, this is all me.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and as I go along, I'll probably add some more. But yeah, this is basically what it is. And then you plan for what you're marketing. You plan the list stacking. You plan your marketing uh, uh, campaigns here, right? So you obtain your list for the market. You make sure you have a good CRM. You could do this on Excel. It'll be a lot longer, but you can do it on Excel, depending on how much time you really have. A CRM will make it much easier. And then you start your marketing. So when you're marketing, you do cold calling. You could do website funnel. You could set that up. So basically, somebody can come in and type all the information on the website, and it'll automatically generate a lead. And you have direct mail where you start mailing stuff out, and then get text or email, and then there's like a whole bunch of other ones like signs that you could put outside or whatever. But this is just the ones that I deal with because I'm by myself, so I trim down to just these basics. Then you have you design your campaign, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, what they're going to see, stuff like that. If you have videos that you got to show them, whatever presentations like this that you can actually put on video, and you can send it to them so they could see. That's another way of doing things. And then develop a strategy to implement the plan. So all right, cool, I got what I want them to see, and now I have to figure out when and where I'm going to send this, do this, and then how I'm going to account for this. So like I said, if you have a CRM, it's easy for you to go back and say, hey, I got this lead from a cold call, which cold call campaign, and then you label your campaigns as you
So
go.
you can see what's working.
Exactly, so you can see what's working and what's not working, so you're not spending money on stuff that's not working. And then then you launch your generation plan, your lead generation plan. you know. And then for me, I'm a quarterly guy, so I just done that with everything. So I just every quarter review and modify your lead generation plan and just, you know, basically look at the numbers
Mm,
and then see what works. You know,
that's a good
that's
tip.
how that's how I designed it. And you know, it seems to, you know, and like I could go back and see what's working and say, okay, great, let's do something different, you know. um
Mm.
and then you have the areas of focus, which is the DTA, direct to agent, direct to seller. Those are the two main ones. um you attack those calls a little bit differently, obviously, with an agent that, you know, knows a little bit about real estate, and you know, it's going to be an easier phone call. I think the like new people should probably do that. You learn a little bit more. And then you have the direct to seller, which takes a little bit more skills, because you have to match tonality, you have to be able to sympathize, you have to be able to be patient and understand that it might take a bunch of phone calls. You know, I have so many out there that are just, you know, third and fourth phone calls. um, you do have a skip tracing cost with it, because you don't know, there is no place where you could just get homeowners information, so you got to skip trace that, and that's a cost as well. You know, that's why probably newer people should do the direct to agent. You go always get an agent's number. You know, how do we get to a contract? You know, marketing, you know, set up your appointments. So it could be an appointment where you go on site. I kind of like those better. You know, you can
Like door
actually sit
knocking, you
down.
mean?
Yeah, you can sit down and speak to them face to face, and it
Mm,
gives them like a real element of you know, human presence. And then you have, you know, and then you get them on the contract, and then depending on what you do with that contract, whether you're gonna wholesale it or where you're gonna keep it or whatever, you're gonna probably forward that to a TC to handle, and that's basically the end of that. But you know, missing a part of that's missing in this presentation is, you know, what you do on the negotiation table, right? Or phone call, depending on how you do it, right? Um, the art of speaking to people and illustrating and articulating, you know, how you both have needs, and then how you to fit those needs. And that's a different story. That's where you come in.
right, right. Okay. So, there's two groups of generally people that you'll be calling after you have your lead generation. You'll either be calling agents, which we refer to as DTA, or you'll be calling the actual sellers, which is DTS. In either event, there are some things, I'm just going to go over briefly some stuff. In either event, there are some things that you want to keep in mind for when it comes to agents or sellers. Um, so one thing, and I know we say this all the time, and when you first get started, practice makes perfect, right? It takes a few times. You're always thinking about, you know, what you want to accomplish on the call. But if you're always thinking of your audience and what will grab their attention and matter to them at most, that's when you're really going to make some progress. So you're actually there to solve a problem. Make sure you're thinking about them and what they need and how you can help them, as well as what you're looking for. Um, you also want to mirror or match their energy. You want to mirror or match their energy. So, you know, if they're talking fast, you understand they're kind of in a hurry, and then, you know, you kind of need to jump to your short, sweet. Maybe ask them, is there a better time when I can call so we can, you know, talk a little better? You want to match their energy. If they're kind of, you know, talking slow, or they really need, if it's a seller and they really need somebody to talk to about their issues, listen, you know. There are opening questions that have underlying kickstarts. Like, for example, if you're talking to a seller, you might want to say something like, how did it go with your realtor? What did they say? Did they give you a price for the property? Um, Also, wait a minute, let me back up. You want to go through the 4 pillars also, whether you're talking to agents or sellers. And the 4 pillars are motivation, condition, timeline, and price. So motivation for like a seller would be like, what's got you thinking about selling? What's been the biggest challenge with this house? Motivation for like an agent would be like, it looks really great. It looks like a really great house. Like, what's been the feedback so far? Then you have like timeline. So like if you're talking to a seller, you can ask a question that'll kind of give you 2 answers, like, when are you looking to move? And if they say something like, oh, I don't live at the property, so now it's vacant, or when will the tenants, do you have a lease? Oh, there's no lease, it's just empty.
Yeah,
So
there's definitely an art form that includes all of that. But I think that what people need to understand is that's, I'm not perfect in that. I think you're definitely much better in that. But the first thing that I know that everybody should definitely ask is, are you willing to sell this house? Because some people are still in denial. They don't want to sell the house. So when I'm
yeah.
cold calling, it's like, all right, listen, are we selling this house? That's the first thing I'm asking, and I'm feeling for that. And that's how simple I keep it. Then I set an appointment. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to land this thing on. I'm trying to feel out their tone, feel it. See, and then once I get it, I say, all right, you willing to sell the house? Because some people still trying to keep the house even after pre-foreclosures. They want to. They try and,
Hmm.
they'll do GoFundMe or whatever. They'll try to keep the house. And then it's like, you just gotta let them be, until
So
the pain
that's
point gets really excruciating, that you're like, all right, now, so
what's that?
you introduce yourself, build rapport, and you say, all right, cool, try to sell the houses, whatever, and then you move on to the next call, because there's 1,000 people waiting to get called and get help. So if you're
Are
not
you
ready to
hearing
get
that?
help right now, I got to keep it moving. So if I sense that, you're not willing to sell the house, I'm out. I'm not I'm not gonna sympathize or whatever. The sympathy, I think, comes in when somebody wants to sell the house, and then you start going into into building rapport and getting the 4 pillars and understanding what it is. And that's it for me, as far as, because cold calling is like, I'm calling, 150. I'm up to like 100, and between 150 to 200 calls a day, and that's only with like 2-3 hours worth of cold calling. Not even, probably less
Yeah.
than that.
So if you ask them a question that will help them arrive at the answer, if they're kind of in denial, it would be something like, so what happens if you don't sell the house, or if you aren't able to sell the house? What happens? And that kind of gets
Yeah, there's definitely, questions like, like that. Definitely the open-ended questions are good and stuff. I'm, like I said, I'm not there yet. I'm not seasoned. I'm actually one of those that I'll just JV real quick and get somebody on the phone that really knows what they're doing. I don't have the patience. I mean, people I spoke to a lady for like an hour, and
is that your
so
dog?
delusional, so delusional, and she kept me there, and I wasted my time, and I had other calls that I could have made. So yeah, it's a catch 22. I see why a lot of people, um they find, what do you call it, virtual assistants, and then they'll offload their cold calling and all of that to their virtual
Yeah, because it
assistants.
takes
And
up a lot of time. Yeah,
yeah,
it
and
really
then
does.
you're just picking up the phone call for leads, for people
Hmm.
that you can actually have a conversation with, and then you could spend your time, doing that. So
Gotcha. Also, when you're making phone calls, you're actually like planting seeds.
yeah,
Especially if you're calling them for the first time. I mean, you don't ever plant a seed in a garden and the plant sprouts right away. Sometimes, people need to kind of process the whole thing. And then that's why the fortune is in the follow-up. You circle back and check in on them.
One question that I think everybody should be aware of that comes up a lot is, and you won the conversation when they say, "What is your name again?" Because they've already feel good about the conversation that they want to know your name. So they either really feel good about the conversation or they really feel bad. So if they're giving you an argument or whatever and they feel bad and they don't like you, what is your name again? Says they want to know who they spoke to that they never want to speak to again. Or it's the other way around where, I like the conversation. Who is your name again? I want to remember your name. So
Right.
that I want to remember
Or
your
they
name.
want to check you out. I get that a lot.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's for the new people probably should just, like, when they say, choose an avatar. I understand why they do that. Just so you could focus on, like, even on a call, uh, people are very vague. They'll say just call, just call, just call, but there are parts to the phone call. They're probably a series of phone calls. And so people pick up the phone and then they just call and they try to land the deal in the first phone call, and then they just apply all that pressure to themselves and they get nowhere. So there's definitely a art form that needs to, to be carried out and written out and understood.
Right. Also, like, if you've gone through the process or they need to hop off the phone, or if they're like, I don't think, I don't know about that, or I don't think my client's going to go for that. A good thing that I always do, and I mean it too. I don't just say it, I mean it. At the end, I'm usually like do a pullback method, which is like, okay, if we're not your buyer, that's fine. We can always be a plan B if you need to circle back. If the property doesn't sell and you need to circle back, you can always reach back out to us and see if we have room on our plate for another one. Or if any other option for any other properties. Of course, this last part is if you're talking to an agent. Any other properties that work for this type of transaction, also feel free to reach out, and we're happy to take a look at whatever you got going on. So that's really good. And then the most important thing, most important thing. I mean, when they say fortune is in the follow-up, they're not kidding. Plant seeds, water them, give them sunlight. No plant sprouts instantly, right? So, circling back and circling back. Sometimes they even forget about the call, especially if they're really busy. If you're talking to an agent that's busy, that's the kind of agent that you want to talk to and you want to keep in touch with because they have a lot of business. And sometimes they just forget, know. So then you call and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot." Yeah, I've had that happen a few times. So,
yeah, I've had a bunch of fun phone calls. I tried to record as much as I could, but if I keep the camera on for like 3 hours, that's like a 3 hour. I'm not looking back through the footage. I'm not going to stop the camera to then start it again and blah, blah, blah. But I've been through a lot of fun phone calls.
So a couple things about agents. Agents are in a hurry if they have a lot of business. They're the ones that you definitely want to talk to, the ones that are a little busy. So just if you're showing them that you respect their time, they'll really appreciate that. The good part is they're not super emotionally invested in the property. So if you build good rapport with them, they're going to help you because, their job is to get this house sold one way or another. And if you make sure that you take care of them and pay them commission, then they'll get it back for you. They already have their clients or the sellers already know, like, and trust them. So, okay. Besides respecting their time, a really good question that I found to ask an agent, I don't remember who I picked this up from, but is this kind of is really good about finding out condition in a quick and efficient way without having to ask an agent a whole bunch of questions, because what they're thinking is, look, I did all this work, typing everything out, getting all the information together for a listing. Go check the listing. Don't ask me things about the property. Go check the listing, right? So if you ask the agent something like, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being brand new, what would you rate the house and why? And what do you think the house needs to bring it up to a 10? They can tell you exactly what the couple problems are, if there are some. That's a really good question to ask an agent.
Yeah, agents are easier, I think. They already know the information. You just basically have to ask them, "Hey, get me up to speed," and they just go off. I had an agent sell me a property for 45 minutes without me even saying a word. Like, she just kept
Wow.
talking and talking and talking, and I think, she's just that person. She's very passionate and articulate about it, and there was nothing bad about it, but she went off giving out information just like that.
Right. Don't be nervous, guys. Agents are just regular people too. They
Yeah,
just do
I
this a
mean,
lot more.
I got my my fair share of agents that don't want to, they have what they're set in one way, and that they're not open to be creative or anything like that. And if it doesn't sound, how they're used to working, then they just won't deal with you.
Right.
So I'll be at the best of both worlds. I mean, it comes with the game, right? Like, you're gonna call people you don't know. I get phone calls from people I don't know all the time, and usually I just hang up. Lately I've been more sympathetic because I've been on the other side, so I pick up the phone, and then I just try
Right.
to be respectful and stuff like that. But
Yes.
normally I just don't, depending on my mood, I guess. So the agents are cool. Yeah, I think you just got to feel out the person through the phone call and see how that works out. So I've gotten people that preach to me about God, like, on the phone. So you get everything. It's
Oh,
fun.
they want to help you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. So you're out there trying to help them, but there are also people out there that are just the same way. So it's not
yeah,
it's not that you do get your bad apples though. So you gotta be prepared for those.
right. Yeah.
But
So, I mean, like, we could go on. I think we could do making calls and lead generation. We could do this episode several more times and just have so much more information. But I think that kind of wraps it up, except for, with the agents. There were two more things that I wanted to go over. One was, if you call an agent and they don't answer, leave a message, leave a voicemail. Sometimes they're screening their calls. Leave a voicemail. Sometimes they don't get to always check their voicemail, so leave a voicemail and follow up with a text. That could actually work for sellers too, but more so with agents. Leave a message, follow up with a text, and do something that's going to kind of grab their attention, like, hi, my name is so and so. I'm calling about your listing on 123 Main Street, and just wanted to ask a few questions and possibly purchase it. Give me a call when you have a minute. I mean, they want to sell the house, so if you say, hey, I want to talk to you about your listing and possibly purchasing, they're going to call you back. Right. So there's that. And then sometimes I'll just send them an email with an explanation after I get to talk to them, and if they're kind of open to the idea. And sometimes I can send an explanation and a letter of intent all at once. My best tip for a letter of intent is to give them a few options in there, like 2 or 3 options. Our cash offer would be this. Option 1 would be, this many years, depending on what it is, taking over the mortgage or seller finance. Give them a few options, and just let them know everything is negotiable. And then at the bottom of my LOI, I usually have like a few commonly asked questions, and then also offer, if they have any questions or the seller has any questions, I'm happy to hop on a Zoom and, answer any questions that you have. and then make sure you just follow up. Not too much, but not too little either.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, and then you have to have a system in place. So yeah, follow-up system is a whole, like a whole drip campaign is a whole totally different animal too. So you have, you know, you have how you generate your list, you have how you make the calls to the different people involved, agents, sellers, or so on and so forth. You have different types of marketing, you have different type of lead management people that manage the leads, how they get, how they get hit, or how they get called, how they get email, how they get text, and how often. So for example, if you have a property with 4 pain points, you're definitely going to be following up like every 2 days, just to get them on the phone. And then once you get them on the phone, you provide what, uh, they're going to be in pain, so you're about to provide them some relief for that pain. So
And that's
definitely
where a
articulating
CRM
a
really
plan.
comes in handy, because you could set reminders for each one. And then
Hmm.
once you have it, you just log on your CRM that day and see all the calls that you need to make, all the follow-ups you need to make, and just go straight down. And then once you hop off the phone, add some notes so you can review them and know what to talk about. And then,
You got to
better
be real slick with your
remind.
drip campaigns. A drip campaign is basically a follow up campaign, right? Because you wanna generate the beginning. You can generate a generic messaging system that can target all those pain points or all those lists. Because when you're
Mhm.
in the beginning, you're by yourself, right? Now when you develop a team, you can develop different drip campaigns that other people can come up with for specific lists, for specific individuals and sellers and agents and stuff like that. obviously you Obviously you're not going to send an agent the same messages that you would send a seller.
Mhm.
You're
Can
not
you
going to send a
explain
person
what a
that's on
drip
probate
campaign?
the same message that you're going to send the person on probate. Especially you're not going to send the same message for a person that you spoke to, that versus a person that you haven't spoke to. So if you got a person on the phone, it's different. It's a different messaging system than if you had somebody on the phone.
So for people who are just starting out, can you explain to them what a campaign is and what a drip campaign is?
A campaign is like, for example, I'm going to target this audience. So Volusia County pre-foreclosures. So I'm going to develop a campaign. Underneath that campaign, you're going to have marketing tools, mailer, cold calls. If you're going to have a specific funnel website, maybe you want to utilize social media. That all goes under that campaign. So like that, this is what I marketed to. I marketed to Volusia County. The audience is going to be Volusia County
Mhm.
foreclosures or pre-foreclosures, whatever it is. And then you're gonna grade that campaign and say, all right, this is a campaign that worked for me, and this is a campaign that didn't work for me. So you keep the ones that work. You go lightly on the ones that don't work. You know, and
So,
then
like the ones that we use in real estate will have, I'll give you an example. Like, once we have someone that we've been in contact with and they're in our CRM system, we can assign a campaign that's preset, that will like send them a touch up email in 2 days, send them a text in 5 days, in 8 days, send them another email. And then in 10 days, it'll tell you to actually call them back.
Yeah,
That's
so there's different ways of doing it because you can set it up so the system automatically does it for you. If I'm by myself, like if I do it myself, just starting, yeah, that's what I want to set up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have the CRM set it up. Yeah, like the CRM does it. Because if I create tasks for me to do it, then it's gonna take me away from cold calling. It's gonna take me
Right,
away
that's
from
what a campaign is. It's like
yeah,
set up, pre-set up. But you
yeah.
have to sometimes you have to set them up initially, and then you'll just once you have somebody in your system, assign them this
Yeah,
campaign
that's a drip
or assign
campaign.
them
So
that.
that's when you have somebody already in the CRM, you're ready to rock and roll.
Mhm.
You develop a drip campaign for that, and then you'll have it automated. So Every so days you send a message, hey, just checking in with you, trying to catch up, whatever. Have you
Mhm.
thought about what we talked about? Blah blah blah, stuff like that. You know.
Yeah,
And
here's
then the
another
more
good
the more of
example.
an
You're
audience that you
following up.
get, the more of customized your drip campaigns are gonna be. So that's a whole thing right there.
Yeah,
If you
when you're
want to reach
following
out
up,
to
this has
more
happened.
people using the technology nowadays, even AI, using leveraging chat GPT to come up with some of the messages and giving it the situation that you're in, that you could create drip campaigns using that. So when you're by yourself and you're trying to alleviate, you're trying to minimize costs, you're just coming into the game. These are the type of things that I'm looking for, until you can get a body that does exactly that. Then you have two people doing it, so chat GPT and that those type of tools, they definitely increase employees without having employees. So
Mhm. Mhm. Yep,
so
once you
it's
have enough
something new.
funds and once
It's
you have
something
enough
new.
work, then you can
Huh?
start adding people to your team, but you have to make sure you have enough funds first. You have to make sure you have enough work for them.
Yeah, like you're gonna generate the whole thing is, if you want to build a business, right? So everybody talks about getting your first deal. Okay, you have fun with that. But you want to generate a business, right? Something that's sustainable. Because how many people have you seen that's on an interview and they say, oh, I started wholesaling 3 4 times, and then boom, they don't wholesale anymore, or they
You gotta
don't
have
get a
a system.
wholesale deal for like months, and then they wind up going back to work, and it's like, all right, cool, you got a couple of deals, great.
Systems, processes, and
Yeah,
routines
you
is
you
what
have to develop,
works.
you have to build your business. You have to, the first thing that I advise everybody to do is, yeah, go talk to an attorney, go talk to an attorney that's familiar with real estate. You want to go talk to property managers in the market that you're in. You definitely want to interview those guys, and take your time getting the right person for the right job. Sometimes they'll have their contractors, which is great, or sometimes you might want to interview some contractors too, and then you put that in play. That's another episode for another day. I wrote that out myself as well, because I noticed that a lot of people get deal drunk. If you notice, if you go to some of these events, oh, what, did you get your first deal? Did you get a deal?
Thirsty for deals.
That's like asking people if you had sex. You know what I mean? Like, just a dumb question. You want to build a business, I think, at the end of the day. And the way I see it, I'm always a student, so I'm always reading a book, and here and there and that.
Oh yeah. That
And
that I
I
do
want to
that
build
too. I have
something that's
one that
going to
I'm
be
working on at a time and listen to it when I'm
yeah,
driving or cooking or in the shower or whatever.
yeah.
When my
You
sound
want to,
books
yeah,
are
even an audible book, just kind of get pointers, and here there you see that some people just, they come in, oh, got to get a couple of deals, they feel like they're the man. Okay, great, you got a couple of $1,000, and then I'm gonna get me a damn camera person because this thing is annoying me.
well, you're the IT guy. You got
Yeah, I
I
gotta
know
get
it's
rid of
new.
that. I don't even know what that is. I gotta look it up. But yeah, so it's about building a foundation, and then nice and easy, and then going into, it's always a long game. But whenever you play chess, it's not a one move win. You know what I mean?
Right. And I popped in the Daily Dial the other day just for like, I don't know, what was it, 5 minutes or something. And then I had to hop off because I kept getting, calls and stuff. But I picked something up off of Caroline that fast. And she had on her background, it says, um, you'll never lose if you don't quit.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, absolutely. You guaranteed a win the minute you keep going, the minute you start and keep going.
Exactly.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. So there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. There's so much to, all the success is gonna come as long as you keep learning and you keep on with the process. I believe that 110%.
Right. Right. Okay. So I think for our first dual podcasts. This went pretty well, except for me knocking something over and your dog barking and the camera
And the
taking
stupid
pictures.
camera. I'm gonna talk to Sony about this. This is a good camera. I don't know what the hell is just shutting off. I don't know what that's about. I'm gonna break it.
Yeah. I mean, we put our phones on mute and then we had all this other stuff happen. We're like, man, I mean, everything is such a learning process.
It's terrible. I'll get it. The other day I was glitching for the family blind. Did you get to watch the replay?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it was glitching. You remember? I forgot the name of the person or the commercial. It was a Pepsi commercial. That the guy comes out. He has the blonde hair. He's always in the TV. So he's always glitching. Pepsi. I'll find it. I know. I found it the other day. The guy has a name, and I forgot the name.
I think I know who you're talking about. Only Gen Xers will know this guy, right? I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a Pepsi commercial. He was always in the TV set. They always carried him around, and he kept glitching. And did all of that. That's what I looked at like in the other day.
What was his name?
I forgot. He has a name though because I looked it up that night. I found the
blonde,
name.
Blonde and white spiky hair.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
I found the name that night.
He was really popular at one point.
Now I gotta
he was
go
on
through
a
the
show.
history. Huh?
He was on a show, and then they started using him for advertisements. He had like
find him. I'm gonna find him because I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna do some producing with that.
That would be hilarious.
That's gonna be fun. Oh, you should see the. Yeah, you have to watch
something
the
like
replay.
Mad Max or something like that, but
it something I don't know. But you should have seen the replay was crazy. I mean the Zoom was crazy. The family night. So
yeah,
I got a couple of images that I'm creating actually, that are pretty cool.
Wait.
Maybe I'll share them one day.
I'm gonna check it
they're
out.
off of that. They're
David
off of
Lopez.
that. Family night. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There was a lot of jokes.
You got the flowing hair. You
Yeah,
got good hair.
There was a lot of jokes. So.
Oh man, I can't wait. I'll probably check it out this weekend.
Yeah, I saw it. It's already posted. So I saw that it was there, and then I said I'm gonna go back and see if I can just take some pieces, and then I'll do Mr. Producer on it. It's fine.
Yeah. Gotcha. Like take a little clip of when.
Yeah. Take some clips, mess around with it. Yeah. I'm learning a little bit more about the Adobe Premiere.
Ask him first, though. Ask first, though, because they're big on those.
No. They're off of my video glitch. They're not. Okay. They're off of my video glitch. I'm not using.
I think it was Mad Max or something like that.
No, it's. I forgot the name. I forgot. I'll find it. I gotta look through my history, and because I open up so many damn windows at per hour, it's just ridiculous to go back and find it. But I'll find it.
Okay, guys. Anyone that's going to the Jim Quick seminar, Limitless Brain, Limitless. He wrote the book Limitless, and he is a coach and a speaker on this subject. Anybody that's going to that, I'll see you there. And David, thanks so much. My favorite sub too, buddy. Yeah. I think we did pretty good for the most part. This being the first podcast, I'm sure we're both going to do clips of this.
Yeah. We have a ton.
And we're going to do this like twice a month or weekly or what?
Whatever. You know us. We can't schedule us.
We're still in the shiny object syndrome, almost 6 months into it.
Yeah, but we both have ADHD, so
yeah,
we're still trying to be all the avatars.
Right.
So,
oh my gosh, my favorite clip.
We still believe we can do it. So
right. My favorite clip from our one of our first podcast interview where I interviewed you and you were like, my future goals are to rule the world. And I was like, well, there's a couple people trying to do that now. You might want to get in line.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the world.
You were so serious. You were like, to rule the world.
Yeah.
It was good time.
That's true. Yeah, no, I mean, but I never before this podcast thing, I never really was on camera, so I never really got to look at myself. Never recorded myself. Never did any of that. When I get dressed and I go. I don't really look in the mirror or anything like that, so I'm not that person. So
Yeah.
it was kind of uncomfortable. Now I gotta look at myself. I'm like, every fucking
Why?
time.
You're not so bad. I mean,
Yeah,
you're a
well,
handsome guy. You're easy on the eyes.
whatever. I guess I'm hard on myself.
Yeah. Everybody's their own worst critic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time to kind of get used to it though. But this is where the world is going anyway, so
Yeah.
can't beat them, join
Absolutely.
them.
I mean, yeah, physically going from one place to the next takes forever. So,
Yeah.
connecting virtually sometimes just makes sense. But when you can, like you said, when you can, it's always good to get in front of people because there's like an energy exchange and, there's that whole vibe there that you don't get virtually.
Yeah,
So,
the I like being with people, but I
yeah,
like being with people. I like the meetups. They're cool. Um, but I'm not used to talking about work when I meet with people. You know what I mean? Like I don't like analyzing work. I like that to be like the last thing I want to talk about. And
right.
everybody in the meetup is just, what is going on? What are you doing? Did you have your first deal? I don't really want to talk about that.
See,
I want
some
to,
people are thinking networking, other people are thinking building
yeah, I like
relationships in
that.
general.
Even if you're networking, it's you still. I think there's a personal element to it that is much more important than, hey, all your business processes, and I don't want to talk about
Yeah,
that. If I wanted to have a meeting, I'll call a meeting and I'll have a meeting with you. But I
yeah,
ain't there for that,
yeah.
and I understand, well, the
That's
networking
what
and
I
people.
like to do too. I might get their
Yeah,
contact information and talk
yeah, I
business
just want to
later.
just chill, just talk, boom, yeah, we if our vibe kick it, then we move it to the next level, and that's how we do it. But they
Your
just,
vibe attracts your tribe. That's why you and I
yeah,
connect because we kind of working on that same vibe there.
networking for me is a different thing, but I like being in front of people. I think that's important, seeing their reactions, seeing their responses, um, what type of individual they are. You could tell all of that face to face. Without a camera, without rehearsing or anything like that, reacting to certain questions, and you know, to me, is that networking is not, what are you working on? I don't want to talk about that, to be honest with you. I want to see who you are. So there's a different mentality. So let's see what happens. Then you end up talking about work eventually if you're comfortable enough. But
I love
people
how
come
they
up to,
address all that. I mean, we have the Zooms, we have
yeah,
we have the Discord server, we have the in-person meetups. I mean, they like touch all bases in this
yeah.
community.
See, like when Pace, when I first met Pace, he says, "Did you meet anybody?" That's a good question, because that's what it is. Meet somebody and then go from there. Not, hey, what's your KPIs and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, I look at people like that, and I'm like, yo, bro, get away from me. Like,
Yeah.
that's not that's not.
The
Sometimes
community.
some of that stuff is not your business. Like,
The
let's be cool.
community is the biggest part of this whole equation.
Yeah. But it is what it is. You could tell who's who and what's what.
Yeah.
Easy. I like it when it's in
Sometimes
person.
though, people may be in a business mindset, and then other times they may be in a making connections with people mindset too.
Yeah, yeah. But you could tell who's who and what's what when you're there face to face. No
Mhm.
problem. As opposed to like on a Zoom, and like if you take the Zoom calls where you do the role plays and stuff like that, it's probably not the way that person is gonna handle the phone calls. Because they're not staring into a camera. They're not looking at 1,000 people looking at you.
So it'll
It's
probably handle it
probably
better.
going to be much, much more different. So,
Yeah. But if you
you
can
know.
do it under pressure, you can do it a lot
Hmm.
a lot easier on your own.
Yeah. I think everybody should just, record themselves and then go back and see what that recording looks like so they could
Yeah, then you
see.
get feedback on the Zooms and
Yeah.
stuff
The,
like
the
that.
role playing is like cool. I think, after you have, I think it helps you get off a certain hump, but I don't think it really, you know, I think it helps you get off a certain hump. And I think if you do it enough which I don't think people have enough reps and with role playing unless you have like a battle buddy that you can do it over and over and over and over again. I think that's how you probably get better.
Yeah. I
Once
mean,
a
there's
week.
lots of things that's going on in those Zooms. You
Mhm.
got role play, you
The
got
feedback,
feedback, you
the
got
feedback
your
is
networking
amazing.
in the side chat. There's like so many things that's going
Yeah,
on.
the
You're
feedback is
learning, you're
amazing. The
learning
feedback is
mindset,
definitely.
you're learning motivation, you're
So,
learning
so I
the
feel,
structure of a call. There's lots of stuff
but
going
I feel like when I look at some of these people that they're in the Zoom and they're doing the role play, I feel like I feel like every single one of them are 10 times better when they make the phone calls. Actually, I think that when they get in front of people, it's when they that, which is great because then when you get the feedback, that's the important part.
on.
You
Right.
know what I mean? So when the
Yeah.
people provide the feedback off of the
And
mistakes, and then
practice
that's
off
the
the
important part.
Zooms.
That's the information that you really need.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyway,
Oh,
let me run. It's already gonna be 12. I gotta make some calls, and
yes. And
let's
I
do
got to
this
do that
again.
seminar. So yeah,
And we'll pick
absolutely.
another topic to kind of
Yeah.
go by so like that people could
And thanks
either
so much for
provide.
watching, guys,
Yeah,
and putting up with our little glitches, learning this whole curve.
yeah, and provide feedback. If you feel like we should add or subtract something, just right in the comments.
Yeah,
But don't don't
absolutely.
don't feedback
And
about my
and
camera.
and please like and subscribe.
Yeah, Jesus.
Even David hates that.
Don't give me feedback about my stupid camera. I'll
Yeah, he
fix
knows
it. I
the
don't know how. I'm
issue.
gonna give it. I'm gonna have to bring it
Please
back
like
by
and
the time.
subscribe. We really appreciate it. It helps us grow and helps us teach more people. And the more often we do these, the better we'll get at them and the more you can learn. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great day and we'll see you next time. Bye.